Hello, my name is Brant. My last name is Hunt. Today is the fourth day of May, 2022. My channel, that is on YouTube, is Discerning What is True, and I'm also on Facebook. What I'm going to do is I bought recently an 1828 dictionary by Noah Webster from 1828, that is. And I mentioned here the word wisdom. But I also like to go first here with the root word, which would be wise. So I'm going to read this to you and give you an idea of what it means. So this is what Mr. Webster said. Um, let's start here. So what he speaks of simply, there's other words that he speaks of that are in the Dutch, which is weten, W-E-E-T-E-N, to know, which is the Gothic or Saxony witten. Witten is V-I-T-A-N, or is it spelled W-I-T-A-N? But as a German, it would be pronounced witten with a V. To English, it was wit, W-I-T. So that wise, wit, wheat, what are all from one root or dialectic form of the same word. In general, the radical sense of know is to reach or to hold from extension, stretching. So what I'm seeing here is it has to be a pursuing of what is wise, what is the correct knowledge, what is to know, so to speak. In this case, it may be to show, to disclose from a like sense. Let's go on down here. So properly, that is having knowledge, hence having the power of discerning and judging correctly, or of discriminating between what is true and what is false. And we surely do need that today, enormously, because most people are completely easily fooled, especially young people. They just simply buy into whatever's being taught. They fall for it, simply is. And I'm not putting down young people, because I was once a young person also. It's just simply easier to go with the flow, to follow others, not to stand on your own. There's not a understanding. There's not a understanding within that. What is this all about? Why is I being exploited here on this planet? Maybe you should ask that question. Why am I being exploited here? What is going on really? What really is going on? Why is there so much so many things out there now that seem entertaining to me, but in reality simply is they never lead to truth. Entertainment simply is just, it wastes your time here. You only have what we would call a limited amount of time when you're here. Are you making the best of your time here? And so that would be a question. Simply as being wise would simply say, am I using my time wisely? Between what is fit and proper, what is improper? He's a wise prince, a wise imaginative. Solomon was deemed the wisest man at his time, but a man may be speculative and not practically wise. Hence, another definition of wisdom or wise, meaning to be descript and judicially in the use of applications of knowledge, choosing landable ends and the best means to accomplish them. This is to be practically wise. In other words, it's just there are people who work, but to work wisely is to make it easier on you. That is, if you're doing something out in the yard or whatever, and is there a better way of actually making this job easier for me? Okay. And as you're a young person, you have plenty of energy. But as you get older, You don't have that energy anymore. So you basically look for ways to actually save your energy and not to overextend yourself in working hard. Continue. Number 3, as he continues to explain what wise is to be skillful, to be dexterous, dextrous. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. This is based upon Jeremiah chapter 4. Means to be learned, knowing, as the wise and the unwise, based upon Romans chapter 1. To be, then we go into the 5th one here, and skilled in arts, science, philosophy, or in magic and divination. That's based upon 2 Samuel chapter 14. Is to be godly, is to be pious, based upon Proverbs chapter 13. What he's saying here is gives a quote on godly here. He says, the holy scriptures which are able to make thee wise to salvation. It's based upon 2 Timothy chapter 3. Number 7, this is again in the whole idea of, again, with wise. What does it mean? Number 8. Number 7. Skilled in hidden arts, a sense of somewhat ironically as a wise woman of Brainford. That's based upon Shakespeare. Number 8, dictated or guided by wisdom, containing wisdom, judicially well adapted. So what does it mean to judge? In other words, when you have something, is it true or false here? You judge it. You sit with it. You stew with it, so to speak. Is this true what they're saying? And you do this, you play this out in your mind. You say, so, well, what this such and such, is this person, quote unquote, of good character? Can I trust him what he's sharing with me? You have to look at all these things of, well, I've listened to this guy before or this woman before, but is they truly being honest with me? Are they? And that's how you differential what is why. That's part of basically discerning what is true and what is false. You have to have these discernments in order to understand how to go through life and not to be, quote unquote, be used or hurt by others. That's just part of it. That's just wisdom again. On number 8 here, dictated or guided by wisdom, containing wisdom, judicially well adapted to produce good efforts, applicable things as a wise saying, a wise scheme or plan, wise conduct or management, a wise determination. Let me go on here. Number 9, becoming a wise man. He uses the word grave, grave, interesting word, discreet, as a wise deportment. And in the last one he says here is what I'm seeing. He's going to give other illustrations here. So it's going manner, way of being or acting. So this is part of the characteristic of wisdom. This song she sings in Most Commanding Wise by Sidney, Infidus Wise by Spencer. And the foregoing form, this word is obsolete. The use of it is now very limited. It is common in the following phrases. So he's basing this upon some phrases here. He's got this again is from 1828. In any wise, if he that sanctified the field will and in any wise redeem it. That's wisdom, folks. That's what he's saying here. He sanctified the field. So in other words, simply, his life is a field. He's growing something. And he has to be wise in what he's doing with his field, that is, with his own life. And he will redeem it, making it valuable, far more valuable. Just like if you would go out here and plow a field and put the best soil out there and make sure that you keep other types of weeds out of it, you are actually doing that within your own self, being wise and sowing and planting something that will eventually in your life will be fruitful. So this and being wise here is to be discerning of what you're here for. Fret not thyself in any wise. This is based upon Psalms 37, chapter 37. On this wise you shall bless the children of Israel, based upon Numbers chapter 6. In no wise he shall in no wise lose his reward, based upon Matthew chapter 10. It is used in composition as in likewise, otherwise, linkwise, and etc. My mistake ways is often used for it as linkways or linkwise. So what I'm seeing here simply is your life is a field. And if it's a field, and what are you going to produce out of your life? What are the fruits that you're going to produce? And it's characteristics of the even in the Bible, simply it speaks about the fruits of the Spirit, you see. And so wisdom simply is able to saying, I didn't come here to be so-called entertained, which is what's going on around us. It's entertainment is a way of getting your focus off of what you came here for. I'm not saying anything's wrong with those things, okay? Because we all entertain ourselves. But we can entertain ourselves by going out in the woods, you see, and actually be at peace with ourselves instead of always looking to the outside. It is always, and I'm not saying, when I say outside, I mean someone to entertain me, when in reality simply is I don't need that entertainment. The entertainment is actually out in the woods. When I go out there, I can follow what's going on. I can hear the sounds of the birds, the water, whatever's going on. And that brings peace to me. That's where peace is, you see. And so when we go back to the whole analogy of the field he gives here, what are you sowing in your life? What are you doing with it? You've been given life here. Not everyone that comes here, quote unquote, is even aware of that, but that are even given that opportunity. Think about this. You, in some ways here in this country that we live in, you have far more opportunities to do something with your life. But if you're born somewhere else, you have less opportunity. Okay? That's the way it's been for a couple hundred years in this country. All right? I'm not saying everything's perfect here. It isn't. But I'm saying just look back and look at the areas of simply what goes on in India, for example, where there's a caste system that if you're born in a particular family, such and such, you never are able to move up, so to speak. You're not given an opportunity in some ways, although a lot of that comes from your own family. You see, the whole allotment simply is that, well, we've been cast down and we're not going to make it such and such. You see, and it's a way of keeping people down. Why do people, now here's the question, why do people actually lord themselves over others? Why do they do that? I think it's as simply as it's a fear. I think it's fear that they're in a privileged family or whatever it is, that they want to be over someone else because they feel that God and somehow has blessed them, which God has blessed them in providence, yes. But it's not the Lord over someone, folks. It's not. Never was meant that way. Again, the whole idea here simply is the field. What are you going to do with that field? You know, most people, even as what I was saying, this whole system with the caste system in India, they still have a field. You see, there's still an opportunity. What are you going to do with that? That's what you're here for. You may be at a lower rank, but that doesn't mean you can't go up higher. You can't make excuses, so to speak. And so simply as you sow whatever you can do at that particular time. You grow whatever you can in your own field. You get these things that are quote unquote that are actually not truths in your mind, your field, your garden. You eliminate the weeds that actually stifle the growth that really is real growth in your life. And that's being wise and making use of the time you're here for. And part of the deal simply is we have elevated The attitude is simply Dumb and Dumber, the old movie that was done probably in the 80s or 90s. I don't remember. I never went to it because I thought it was the dumbest movie. Why would I want to spend money to see something that crazy? But anyway, the point simply is society and the whole herd mentality simply is they brag about themselves in some ways of being dumb or being stupid. They waddle in the mud of being they a way of simply saying, I enjoy being dumb. I don't want to learn anything. I'm content with what I have. And if you are, you'll never, what are you doing with your life? Well, they never ask themselves that question. You see, what are you doing with your life? And so you had these basic tendencies. And I'm going to say this at the end here. You have been given what we call an inner light in your life. This is true. The Spirit of God is within you. 2, you have free will. No one has the right to tell you that you are a sinner. Excuse me, it doesn't work that way. Okay? That's not what that was not what it meant was to be said. And that's those who are in preachers and pastors that are actually themselves causing harm and telling people that they don't have a free will. And that whole doctrine came from Augustine. He denied free will. It's a faulty philosophy. And the third one simply is you're here to have an effect upon the whole world. You have the opportunity to be a beneficiary of all that's here. That's what most people are not aware of because we've been, quote unquote, been cast down, heavy laden by all the burdens of this world. And with that, people tend to give up. They quit. You can't quit, folks. You just can't. You got to keep fighting and you got to desire. And I did a video yesterday very distinctly saying, if you want truth, you pursue it. You ask for it, you seek it, and you knock on the door, so to speak. These are all somewhat allegories in what you're supposed to do. But there has to be what he would call the word stretching is the word here and wisdom here. You desire it because you're simply willing to stretch. You're willing to go whatever it is to find something. And it's much easier at this point in a lot of ways. Also, it's much harder as there's things on the computer in some ways that are beneficial to you, but also detrimental. And you have to see what is good and what is not. All this stuff simply is that I think is really just blows me away is this whole aspect of everything's outside of ourselves. Like for example, the aliens. Why are you wasting your time on that? You see, these are all deceptive, what I would call traps that trap you and deceive you, and you waste your time here and you don't make the most of your time. So I appreciate you listening. Again, if you have questions, I'm more than willing to actually help you share a question, whatever. If I don't know, I don't know. We're all on a different path here also, folks. So whatever you can glean, and when I mean glean, again, is another word for wisdom. Whatever you understood in the past and your knowledge, such and such. Knowledge is simply this, is when you discern and say, nope, that doesn't work for me. That's not true. That's false. I don't want any part of that. Move out of my life. I don't believe in that anymore. I don't hold on to that. That's wisdom and able to discern what is good and bad. So again, thank you. Wish you a wonderful day and make it that way. Thank you. Take care.